The idea of the year of the horse comes from the Chinese zodiac, one of the oldest continuous systems of symbolic timekeeping in human history, with roots that stretch back more than 2,000 years into ancient China, long before the modern calendar system existed, and long before time was measured by numbered years in the way most of the world understands it today. Because in traditional Chinese culture, time was experienced as a repeating cycle rather than a straight line, and the zodiac became a way to understand history, personality, fate, and the rhythm of life itself through symbolic animals that represented different energies in the universe. The Chinese zodiac is made up of 12 animals that repeat in a fixed order, beginning with the rat and followed by the ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig, with each animal ruling over a year and returning every 12 years, meaning that the year of the horse is not a single moment in time, but a reoccurring chapter that has appeared again and again across centuries of Chinese history, shaping how people understood leadership, movement, ambition, war, travel, and personal destiny. The horse holds the 7th position in the zodiac cycle, placing it at the symbolic midpoint between the snake and the goat. And this placement is meaningful because it represents a turning point where hidden preparation gives way to visible action, motion, and momentum, reflecting how horses historically transformed civilization by allowing humans to travel farther, communicate faster, fight wars more effectively, and expand empires beyond what was previously imaginable. Long before the zodiac was formally codified, horses already held immense importance in Chinese society, especially during the Shang and Zhou dynasties, when horses were closely tied to military power, aristocracy, and royal authority, and owning horses was not only a practical advantage, but also a status symbol that separated the ruling class from common farmers, since horses required land, food, training, and care that only the wealthy could afford. As a result, when animals were chosen to represent the years, the horse naturally became associated with strength, endurance, independence, and forward motion, traits that reflected both the physical animal and the social power it represented. According to the legend, the order of the zodiac animals was determined by a great race organized by Jade Emperor, a central figure in Chinese mythology, who wanted to select 12 animals to serve as markers of time. And while there are many versions of this story, the horse is often depicted as a strong and fast competitor that would have placed much higher if not for interference, sometimes said to be caused by a snake hiding in its hoof or mane, which startled the horse at the finish line and allowed other animals to pass. A story detail that reinforces the idea that the horse is powerful but sometimes vulnerable to unexpected disruptions, a theme that carries into its symbolic meaning in astrology. Over time, scholars during the Han Dynasty helped formalize the zodiac system by aligning it with heavenly stems and earthly branches, creating a complex calendar that combined animals with elements such as wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, meaning that not all horse years are the same, since a wood horse year carries different symbolic energy than a fire horse or a metal horse year, even though they all share the core traits associated with the horse. In traditional Chinese astrology, people born in the year of the horse are believed to be energetic, charismatic, independent, and driven by a desire for freedom, often excelling in environments that allow movement, change, and personal expression, while struggling in situations that feel restrictive or repetitive, reflecting the real-life behavior of horses that thrive in open spaces and resist confinement. Historically, horse years have often been associated with periods of rapid change, travel, migration, and sometimes conflict, not because the zodiac predicts events in a literal sense, but because people have long used these symbols to interpret and explain the chaos and momentum of history, especially during times when written records were limited and mythological frameworks helped societies make sense of uncertainty. One of the most famous and feared horse years in history is the fire horse year, which gained a reputation of bringing misfortune, particularly to women born during that year, due to a tragic historical story involving a rebellious woman associated with fire and destruction, a belief that became so powerful that birth rates dropped dramatically in Japan during fire horse years, demonstrating how deeply zodiac symbolism could influence real human behavior and demographic patterns. In China itself, the horse has long been linked to yang energy, the active and outward force in the yin and yang system, reinforcing its association with masculinity, sunlight, action, and public life, which is why horse years are often seen as times when energy moves outward into the world rather than inward into reflection. The image of the horse appears repeatedly in Chinese art, poetry, and folklore, from ancient bronze carvings and tomb murals to Tang Dynasty paintings that celebrated powerful war horses as symbols of imperial strength and cultural confidence, especially during periods when China expanded its borders and engaged in active trade along the Silk Road, a network that quite literally depended on horses to move goods, people, and ideas thousands of miles. The Silk Road itself can be seen as a horse-era achievement, since it was built on speed, endurance, and the ability to cross vast distances, traits embodied by the animal that represents movements more than any other in the zodiac. Even the famous terracotta army of Emperor Qin Shi Huang includes detailed clay horses alongside soldiers and chariots, highlighting how essential horses were to visions of power, protection, in the afterlife, and reinforcing the idea that the horse was not just a tool of war, but a companion to rulers and warriors across both life and death. As the zodiac spread beyond China into Korea, Japan, Vietnam, and other parts of East Asia, the meaning of the horse adapted slightly to local cultures while retaining its core of symbolism, often associated with success, fame, travel, and public recognition, which is why horse years are traditionally considered favorable for careers that involve performance, politics, trade, or leadership, fields where visibility and movement are essential. In folk tradition, the year of the horse is often described as a time when things move quickly, plans accelerate, and opportunities appear suddenly, but also as a time when impatience and recklessness can cause burnout or conflict, mirroring the way a horse can carry a rider far and fast, but must be guided carefully to avoid exhaustion or injury. Across centuries, emperors, generals, merchants, and ordinary families alike looked to the zodiac not as a rigid predictor of fate, but as a symbolic language that helped them prepare mentally and emotionally for the kind of energy a year might bring. And in horse years, this preparation often focused on mobility, adaptability, and courage. Even in the modern era, the Year of the Horse continues to hold cultural significance, especially during Lunar New Year celebrations, where horse imagery appears in decorations, stamps, coins, clothing, and advertising, often emphasizing themes of speed, success, and forward progress, showing how ancient symbolism continues to shape contemporary culture, even in a world dominated by digital technology and global calendars. The persistence of the Year of the Horse also reflects a broader human tendency to anchor time to stories and symbols, rather than numbers alone, reminding us that history is not just a sequence of dates, but a collection of meanings we assign to movement, change, and memory. And in this sense, the horse remains one of the most powerful symbols ever used to mark the passage of time, embodying humanity's long relationship with motion, ambition, and the desire to move forward into the unknown. Like, comment, and subscribe for daily history and culture content.